We're about to explore one of the deepest questions we can ask ourselves, and we're going to use some ancient texts as our guide. We're looking at that timeless, sometimes tricky relationship between what we know and what we actually do. Just take a second and really think about that. Is the real you found in all the knowledge you've gathered, your ideas, your insights? Or is your story written in your actions, the choices you make, and the ripples they send out into the world? This isn't some new age puzzle. It's a question that has been echoing for thousands of years. And that right there is the eternal dilemma, that push and pull between knowing and doing, between wisdom and work. How do we take what we believe in our hearts and minds and actually translate it into right action out in the world? Well, the great news is we're not starting from square one. Ancient scriptures, from all sorts of traditions, have left us a kind of roadmap. They don't just give us one answer. They show us several powerful paths to help us walk through life with a real sense of purpose. Okay, so let's jump right in with the first path. This one is all about understanding our unique place in the grand scheme of things. This is the path of duty. The key word here is Dharma. Now, you might have heard this translated as just duty, but it is so much more than that. Imagine it's the invisible law that holds the entire universe in balance. Your personal Dharma, then, is your special part to play in that cosmic harmony. It's the right way of living that perfectly aligns you with everything else. And some texts, like the Manusmriti, get incredibly specific about this. From this viewpoint, acting correctly means you do your duties and you do them without fail. You study the sacred texts, you play your part in society, you practice self-control, and you perform the right rituals. Every single action is a piece of a puzzle that keeps the universe stable. And the stakes? They couldn't be higher. This line from the Manusmriti shows just how serious this is. It's saying that failing in your duty isn't just a personal slip-up, it's like creating a crack in the fabric of the cosmos. And it has very real, very severe consequences. This is a path of precision for sure. All right, so let's shift gears a bit. Let's look at a completely different way of thinking, a path where what drives you isn't a set of rules, but what's in your heart. This is the path of devotion. This path is called Bhakti, and it's really a total game changer because the focus isn't so much on what you're doing, but why you're doing it. Any task, anything, from doing the dishes to running a company, can become a sacred offering, a little act of love for the divine. A perfect example of this is the epic Ramacharitmanas. Everything the characters do is fueled by this incredible love and service to Lord Rama. So what this path is really telling us is that the why behind your actions is actually more important than the what. It's the love that makes the action pure. And this quote just beautifully sums it all up. When we make our actions about devotion, we're essentially building a bridge to get us over the choppy waters of everyday life. Our work becomes our salvation. Okay, so we've got duty and we've got devotion, both incredibly powerful. But what if there was a way to weave them together? Well, the Bhagavad Gita gives us a kind of secret key, a way to unlock skillful action in any situation imaginable. And that secret is called Nishkama karma. It literally means action without desire. But a better way to think of it is this. You perform your duty with everything you've got, all your heart, all your skill, but you completely let go of any attachment to the results. You do the work because it's the right thing to do, and you leave the rest. Let's really look at this because the internal difference is night and day. When you're attached to the outcome, you're constantly worried, right? About success, about failure, what people will think. It just creates anxiety. But when you're not attached, wow, you're just focused on the action itself. It's what people today call a flow state. Your ego just disappears, and you find this incredible sense of peace and freedom. You're liberated. So here's the kicker. The Gita says the highest state you can reach doesn't come from dropping out of life and doing nothing. Not at all. It comes from being fully engaged in the world, doing your work, but purifying your reason for doing it. And let's be really clear here, this is not about apathy. It's not about becoming some unfeeling robot. It's the total opposite. It's about pouring every ounce of your being into what you do, but building an inner foundation so strong that you aren't knocked over by success or failure. It's the ultimate skill for living. It's a kind of spiritual superpower. So that's the ancient wisdom. But how in the world do we apply this to our crazy modern lives? Let's bring it all home and see how this fits together for us right here and now.
You see, maybe these aren't three separate paths you have to choose from. Maybe they're three ingredients for a well-lived life. First, you act with purpose. You figure out your role, your responsibilities, your Dharma. Then you pour love into that purpose. You give it meaning. That's your Bhakti. And finally, you act with wisdom. You let go of what happens next, and you find freedom right in the middle of the action. And that's Nishkama karma.
And so we end right back where we started, with a question. Only this time, it's for you. As you go about your life, in your job, with your family, in your community, what is the next action you can take, not for what you'll get out of it, not for the reward, but simply because it is true?